In light of the recent situation in the Middle East and the rise in pro-Palestinian support, it's crucial we as Christians understand our own anti-Semitic past and how it started with our church fathers. This isn't about being a Lutheran, Catholic, or the other thousands of denominations in Christianity. This is about understanding our roots, as these men have had huge influences in shaping our faith. Let's start with Marcion of Sinope, who lived around 85 to 160 AD. Marcion was a wealthy ship owner and a major benefactor, which helped him spread his radical views. He rejected the Old Testament, or Tanakh, and was the first to suggest a New Testament book separate from the Old Testament. He saw the Old Testament God as a vengeful God compared to the loving God of the New Testament. His views led to the formation of a distinct community and ultimately was rejected by the early church because his views were considered heretic. However, his views definitely impacted the early church going forward. Next, we have Ignatius of Antioch, who lived from 35 to 108 AD. He warned Christians against Judaizing, basically telling them to avoid Jewish customs. Ignatius was one of the first to inspire the Lord's Day or Sunday Sabbath because of his disdain for anything from the Jewish Torah. This was an early form of anti-Judaism. Then there's Justin Martyr, who lived from 100 to 165 AD. In his dialogue with Trypho, he argued that Christians are the true Israel and that Jews misunderstood their own scriptures. This portrayal wasn't very positive for Jews and is in line with popular misunderstandings of St. Paul's letters, where the general church portrays true Israel as someone who believes in Christ but can disregard the Torah, which violates Christ's words directly. After that, we have Melita of Sardis, who died around 180 AD, accused Jews of deicide in his homily, basically saying they were responsible for killing Jesus. This language laid the groundwork for future anti-Semitic attitudes. And then we have another Gentile, Tertullian, who lived from 155 to 240 AD, arguing that the new covenant in Christ replaced the old covenant, suggesting Judaism was obsolete. And I used to wonder where most Christians used to get this idea from growing up. Unfortunately, this idea reinforced the notion that the Jews were rejected by God. More recently, a few hundreds of years back, Martin Luther, a pivotal figure in the Protestant Reformation, also exhibited strong anti-Semitic views in his later years. Initially, Luther was more accommodating towards Jews, as seen in his 1523 pamphlet that Jesus Christ was born a Jew, where he criticized the Catholic Church's harsh treatment of Jews. But by the 1540s, his views turned hostile. In 1543, he wrote on the Jews and their lies, using extremely derogatory language and calling for severe measures against Jews, such as burning their synagogues and confiscating their property. These writings had a long-lasting negative impact, influencing future anti-Semitic ideologies. Some of them were used, unfortunately, by Hitler's men. In fact, Adolf Hitler and the Nazi regime found a troubling ally in Martin Luther's later works, such as On the Jews and Their Lies. They were used extensively in Nazi propaganda. By citing Luther, the Nazis claimed their persecution of Jews was justified and historically grounded. This manipulation of Luther's legacy provided a legitimacy to their horrific actions, embedding their anti-Semitic ideology within a respected German and Christian tradition. These Gentile non-Jewish Christian men, who started off with good intentions in the name of Christ, ended up hurting Jews indirectly because of their envy, their jealousy, and misunderstanding of Jewish culture and the Bible in general. We can talk about how most of them misinterpreted Paul's letters for another day or ignored Christ's words for another day. But understanding these historical perspectives is crucial because they have shaped Christian attitudes towards Jews for centuries to this day. The majority of priests and pastors don't even bring up these churches' elders' anti-Semitic past, as they've not researched them, but they choose to focus only on their positive aspects. But remember that Jesus told us the truth will set you free. Blaming Catholics or Protestants isn't enough. We need to dig deep into our roots and correct it through first acknowledging what happened in the Holocaust, the Inquisition, the pogroms, etc. It was all evil, especially if you believe in Christ like me. But next, work towards building genuine bridges with the Jewish people, built on a sincere love for them. Because Jesus made it perfectly clear through his life that just like his Father, they are the apple of his eye, regardless of how Jews feel about him. And he made it crystal clear he came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel, while we Gentiles are considered dogs. That's a story for another day. But through our humility, we are saved in Christ. That is if you're a Christian like me. Finally, if you have a thing against the Jewish people, remember, you as a Christian are not fighting them, whether you feel it's justified or not. You're fighting the Creator, hands-on, and nothing good ever comes out of it. Rather, take an analogy out of King David's life. When he fled from King Shaul, or Saul, and he had chances to take Saul's life, but he said he wouldn't because he is God's anointed. The people of Israel, according to our Bible, are chosen and holy by the Creator. And that is why we should think twice before cursing them or trying to destroy them. As for me, I'd rather bless them. Please do like this video and subscribe to my channel.